So I'm just going to repeat that quickly. Power BI helps is a collection of tools. Within Power BI, we've got tools, we've got apps, we've got software, which helps us to get easy access, fast access to our data from whichever source we are getting it from, for the purpose of analyzing and visualizing the data for insights. And then we can collaborate and share within the team and, walk through what the aim of looking at that data is. So in a nutshell, it helps you to experience your data as you want to experience it, whenever and on any device. And then we talk about the Power BI ecosystem. So there are 4 main components of Power BI. And the first one, which is really very popular with us, is the Power BI desktop. It's the free version that we download. I've dropped a link on the platform earlier on for those who want to get it. So it helps you to get your hands dirty on, creating your report. It's always your first point of call. Many a time anyways, your first point of call in creating Power BI reports, where you are able to extract insights from your data, explore and mine your data for analysis. How to get it? You can get it on app stores. You can get it on Windows app stores as well. You can, get it from Microsoft Power BI platforms. It's quite very, very popular. And then we've got a Power BI service. This is the one where once you have created a report, you want to share it with your business associates, with your shareholders. So from the Power BI desktop, then you publish to the Power BI online service, which is a cloud version of Power BI. There are 2 versions of that, actually. I'll mention the second one later in this slide. And then we've got the Power BI mobile service, which allows you to view your report on the go. You can view on iOS, Android, Windows platforms, on your tablets, or on your mobile phone. So because it's not every time that you've got your laptop with you, you can still, get insights while you are out and about. And then we've got a Power BI developer. This one allows a business to configure Power BI to suit their needs, such as if you're trying to embed your reports within your intranet as a business, you can configure that. You can build your own custom visuals. You can create your own custom connectors. Say where you get your data source from is not traditional sources. That's within Power BI, as we know.
Yes, I'm gonna go back. This thing is on. Go back.
Please mute yourself. A bit of housekeeping. We can hear some people and we're recording. So please mute. Thank you. So Power BI for developers affords you the luxury, so to say, of building or customizing your Power BI system the way you want it, within your business. And then we go into the Power BI workflow. So you know how we mentioned Power BI desktop as your first point of call? So within that Power BI desktop, we've got 3 components of that workflow. And that's your Power Query, your Power Pivot, and your Power View. What are these? So Power Query is your extract, transform, and load tool. It helps you to get your data from the source where it is. And, when I open my Power BI desktop, we'll see the list of tools. There's quite a long list of them where you can get your data from. Aside doing that, it affords you the opportunity of changing your data type, doing different cleanup. You can add some enhancements or some enrichment to your data as needed. You know, you can group your data as you want, append and merge. So many things, as we would see later on, that you can do within Power Query. It's a very powerful tool. If Power Query if a Power BI itself were to be a whole house, then we can say, in a manner of comparing, we can say that Power Query is the door through which visitors come in or people come in. In this case, we are talking about data. So Power Query is the door where, data gets input into Power BI. This is just for the explanation. And this is just a visual representation, So we've got our data sources that goes through Power Query. And when we've done all the work within the Power Query, we can then load into, I beg your pardon, this is not meant to be Excel table. So we can say we are loading into the Power BI itself here. I snip that from an Excel teaching. And yeah, we can load into Power BI itself and into Power Pivot within Power BI. And that's just how Power Query looks like. It's quite small. We can't see much of that, but we will see it in action, So another part or component of Power BI desktop is the Power Pivot. So when you have when you are finished doing all the cleaning up, the cooking and cleaning and, beautifying, so to say, within Power Query, you then load the data into Power BI. And if you've got many tables, if you have loaded more than one table now, the work of Power Pivot is to create relationship where there are relationships. It would, like look into each of the components of those tables and try to work out relationships and different types of relationship within that, within your data sets, And it is, creation of these relationships within different tables in your data sets that you have loaded that helps us to be able to make different calculations within Power BI. We've got a type of language called DAX. And DAX stands for Data Analysis Expression. Data Analysis Expression. So Power BI would rely on the type of relationships and then go on to help you to, create formulas, use formulas to create many more tables that you might need, which we call measures and calculated columns within your work. So that is Power Pivot. And we can see this diagram. We've got two tables here, and there's that connection between them. That's what it looks like. And we'll see more of it when we get to work. And then we've got the Power View. The Power View is a Canva where you drop and drag and, create different charts, different visuals, those beautiful creation of art that you do, the beauty that you then present forward. So it's like, then we can say Power View is like maybe the dining table, where after, cooking and doing everything, the table is set, everything's looking beautiful and yummy. That is what the Power View is. Okay. And that is about these three together. Please mute if you are not talking, please. So these three together, that is the Power Query, the Power Pivot, and the Power View, help you to get your data, clean it, analyze it, and then visualize it. All three work together to help to do that. And you would only need to do all the hard lifting once, all things being equal. as long as your Power BI report is still in connection with your data source, any incoming new data set would just get automatically updated. You just need to refresh, basically. So when you click refresh, any new data put into your data source gets updated. All of that work you've done before, they just get picked up within seconds. Say, for example, you have just finished work on maybe a sales data. You created a report, and the last you worked on was up to December 2023. Now we are in 2024. If our business, we've done more business, we've got more data sets in, we've loaded those data, new data into the data source. As long as our Power BI is in contact with the data source, you just need to refresh, and then you will pick up 2024 in your data. So we say that all the process you have done has been automated, for you. That's another beauty of Power BI. Mind you, it's safe to say that these features are also except for the Power View, of course, are also in Excel. In the current version of Excel, or the most recent versions of Excel, we've got Power Query and we've got Power Pivot as well. So you can always show relationship. But for Power View, you would always have to create your own dashboard report as a page in Excel. So that's not available there. And then we've got the Power BI service. So everything we've discussed so far was on the Power BI desktop. Then we've got the Power BI service, which is the online service or the cloud service, and there are two versions of it. The one that we are aware of very well, the Power BI online service. But there is also the Power BI report service, which companies that are not in the cloud yet use, and the components generally of Power BI services, the app workspaces. So when you publish the work that you have done on desktop into the Power BI service, you will be publishing into a workspace. The default workspace that comes with Power BI service is in my workspace, your own space, where you can publish reports that are yours. No one else would be saying that. But if you are publishing or sharing reports with other stakeholders, there would have been a workspace that's created outside my workspaces now. There is the one that's created for work, where all those on the team that needs to see that data or that report will be added on. And again, as we go on in data class, the plan is for us to gradually build up to the point where we have seen this we have seen them used. We've had some classes with Mr. Azim already, but we said we'll go back and start from scratch rather. So for those who are keen on learning gradually, I'll say, please join us in data class and be part of data, 7 p.m. every day, Monday to Friday. We spend some 30 minutes, a little over sometimes, to really learn about data. At the moment, we are starting with Power BI afresh. We've done some Power BI reports. Some of us have built really lovely dashboards, but we are starting from the scratch so that we know why we are doing what we are doing. We understand better, have better in-depth on how to use Power BI to solve many of the problems that we shall be coming in contact with. That was just a digression. So aside the app workspaces, we've got also on Power BI service, we've got where the data sets. So your online service is also in connection with your data set. So you can actually set up automatic refreshes on your in Power BI service. If you want your report to be updated or refreshed every day, you can do it there. So you don't have to manually come in and be refreshing like you would have done in Power BI desktop. In the online service, set it and it will get done. And then we've got the reports, the one that you have published, the report itself, and we've got dashboards. And we have seen the difference between those two in one of our classes last week. And I believe that's the end of the theoretical part of Power BI, Introduction to Power BI. Any questions at all? Now, I'm moving my cursor around and I'm just going to open my Power BI, which is these three bars at the bottom. So I'll open that and then we can see if I can get a data set that we can play around, or at least explain certain things here. Let's hide this. Okay, so immediately you open your Power BI desktop, which is untitled at the moment because we haven't worked on it yet. Then you have this. It used to be yellow color. Mine is green. I don't know if the colors change. You know, if yours would be green if you open it is what I mean. But this comes up, and it's not irrelevant. You know, I just close it normally, but I close it because everything here I can get from within my Power BI anyway. But it's worth mentioning that you can actually start to get your data from here. If there's a recent source that you have opened and you want to go back to it, you can always get it from there. I opened this recently, so it's just showing me a list of Power BI files that were opened recently. If I want to open another one that's not listed here, I can do that. New updates available. I think these are just news and, you know, different list to different communities on Power BI, you know, and it says to sign in to publish your reports, you know. So if I've created my report on here, can you see that I'm not signed in? So if I don't sign in, it won't let me publish whatever report I have gotten. It won't let me publish it onto the online service at all. So it will just be there sitting within my local machine. And then if you want to buy license, so I mean, get it from there. But that was just to show us. I'm going to close that because it's not needed right now. And then we have, as you would be aware, or we know how it works with Microsoft products, the ribbon on the home and file and, you know, all of those, the ribbon bar there. We've got the file, we've got the home, insert, modeling, view, optimize, help. And if I go on the file, again, we can see the recent files that I've opened. If we go into options and settings, so we've got options, we've got data source settings. If I go into options, again, this is quite peculiar to Microsoft products. So we've got data load and different options there. So basically, you can come here and set your Power BI to how you want it to operate for you. Okay, you can customize it, is what I'm trying to say. Preview features would give you, if you've got new features, updates that have come up, this is where you get to turn it on or off as you want. Data load, you know. So these we can't go through all of them now because it would take time and we would forget them anyway. But these are worth looking into in your own spare time to see what and what and what you can, how you can configure yours to exactly what you want. Then we've got the home. And under home, we've got get data, which is where we get data from. And we can see the list of data sources that we can get. And the list is not, it doesn't end here. There is more. So you can get from Excel workbook within your system. You can get from Power BI data sets, data flows, data vars. I mean, it's not every one of these that you would use. I've not used data vars, data flows. SQL Server, yes, we can get from SQL Server. Analysis services, I've not gotten from there, but it is right there. And we can see what it's saying. It says live free live connection or import data from a SQL Server analysis service. So it's also an SQL service database. It's about SQL as well. You can get from text, and I clicked on there and it's bringing me straight to my straight to where I've got all of my files. But I'll close that for now. Let's go on. You can actually get from the web. So let's say you've got a web address in mind already that you have. You can just copy and paste it there, and you can okay that, and there you have it. Power BI template, you can, blank query or data feed. These are all and more. If I click on more, we see a whole list of, a whole list of sources that we can get our data from, PDF and all of that. For starting, we will be using Excel workbook, but I'll cancel for now. Aside this button here, we can also, if you are going straight for Excel and you don't want to use here, you can also always come here, go for Excel and, search for it within and we can see that it's going to only let you see Excel files. It's already, because that's what we said to get. If you wanted one link data or whatever that is, you can always, okay, these are the options within that, again, SQL Server. If you're going for SQL Server, you can, if you know your server name, let's say if I remember mine, so if I'm right with that, so that's my server name. It's asking for the database, which is optional, so I don't have to give it that. Then data connectivity mode is asking me if I want to import or I'm doing a direct query. Now, the difference between the two is if you import data in, it brings the actual data into your Power BI. But for direct query, it just creates a connection to the source. So every work you do within here is communicated directly to the source. The whole data set itself is not brought into your Power BI. So you can't really see your data set as tables or columns as we are used to. Each one of them has got its own benefits. For example, if your data set is small, import query is good. But if it's too large, import might not be, might make your Power BI run slow. Whereas direct query is really good for really large sized big data, because it's just connecting to the source and all your work is all you have within your Power BI report, not all of the load that comes with it. Let's go into the advanced and see. Okay, because I'm saying I'm going into a SQL Server database now. It's asking me command timed out. Okay, that's optional. Have I got a SQL statement, a select statement ready? So maybe if I remember the name of a table already from my data sets, from all the tables within my SQL Server base, I could just tell it to go and select whatever I need to select. write a small SQL statement. This is where a little knowledge at least of SQL would help for Power BI. It's not compulsory. It's just that in case you need a SQL database, and that's if it's peculiar to your work, your organization, at least being able to write a bit of select star from table this, which is as simple as that, can actually help. And it's got something ticked here, include relationship columns. Most of the time, this is the one to take. I've not seen where navigate using full hierarchy has been used, but where relationships are concerned within your data set, this is the one that you want to take. I don't have this ready because I can't remember what I've got in that SQL Server database. I've not opened it in a long time. So I can actually, and we can see that says optional anyway. I can just go there. If my server name is correct, let's see. Okay, it's correct. So it's gone into my SQL database and it's brought the list of all the tables within there. And this is the navigator view where the tables you bring in or the data set you bring in, you can preview them first, preview them first and see. So if I click on this, let's see what that looks like. This 2018 sales, I can look at it here and see if it looks like what I need, what I want to bring in. If I want to bring that in, I will just tick that. I'm just going to look through each and every one of them. If I need it, I'm just going to take it, and you keep going through all the tables. And I'm going through this stress of looking at all the tables because I don't have my select statement to get exactly what I really need from within the SQL. So from the navigator panel now, I've picked these two tables, 2018 sales and debit table. Immediately I picked the first one. These were on grade. I think they were grade before. Stand to be corrected on that. So we've got these three options here: load the data, transform the data, or cancel the data. So if I want to cancel this process, I would cancel that. If I want to load directly into Power BI, say I'm believing this data set is clean, it doesn't need any further work, no need to do anything at all with it. I'm happy to bring it straight into my Power BI. Then I would be clicking on load. But if I've looked through in this preview and I can see that, there's some missing data. This and this is not so right. I need to still add some things to it. Then I'm not going to load the data straight away. I'm going to transform data. Now, it's always best practice, even if you think your data set is good enough, it's always best practice just to double check to come into transform data. Now, what transform data does is it opens a new panel, like a new page. And this new page is the Power Query editor. The Power Query that we have spoken about as one of the three components of the Power BI desktop. This is it. If I put my cursor on my Power BI icon here, below here, we can see that it's opened into two. We've got the actual Power BI, which we started with, and then we've got the Power Query, which it has just opened. Now, this is that kitchen we were talking about where the action takes place, where you get to look into your data in a detailed way and decide what you want to do at this point. For example, I can see that my purchase date here is showing me dates and time. And that time is showing me so far, it's not really very relevant because it's all just 0000. Okay. I can see that. Okay, I don't want date and time. The data type I've got is date and time. I don't want it. I want just dates. All I need to do is come into the data type. The data type is where you have all these tiny bits at the corner. Those are where the data types are. So I'm just going to go there, look through. Now, if we look through here now, we see decimal number, fixed decimal number, and a whole lot of different types of data there, different types of data type there. I'm just going to pick just dates. This is the one I want. That's the one I'm going to put on. And we can see that changed to just the date. And there is something on the apply step on the right. If we look towards the right, where we have query settings, properties, name, the name of the table that I'm working on that's picked now is displayed there. But aside that, we've got applied steps. So within the Power Query, we don't have what we call undo, where you can undo the previous steps that you have done before, like you have in Excel and other tools. We don't have that in Power Query, but we can always come into our applied steps where we can remove any step that we don't want. This is where we get to undo any steps. Now, this is where every step you have taken so far is recorded under the applied steps. Okay. The source, if I click on the source, we went into the source. And if I click on this cog here, the settings cog, it would open up this exactly where we went into. If I wanted to maybe modify this, I can always do that. So you can always go back to previous steps and modify the step if you feel it's necessary. So every new step you do, here we said change type. And what did we do? We changed the type from date time to just date. And that is recorded there. Again, if I want to change the name of this table, I can either double click here and change it there, or I can come here, and change the name. So I don't want all of that dollar sign. I don't want this at the top here. I just want 2018 sales. And then I just click enter, and that is changed for me. Okay. So if I'm happy with everything here, I'm not happy yet, but let's say I'm happy with everything that's been done with this table. I'm just going to come to the other table and check it out as well. In the case of this other table, the purchase date is seen as date. Okay, that's fine. Good night, darling. That's fine. Quantity is number, and is seeing it as number. Price, okay, price is seen as number here, which is fine. But price is money. Say I want that to really show as money with the comma thousand separator, and maybe the decimal points that denotes 2 decimal points that will always denote money. I can do that. Okay, so this amongst many is what we can do. The class continues. Thanks very much, my brother. The class continues tomorrow, where we'll be able to maybe dwell more on Power Query, because there's a lot to unravel about Power Query. And today we have only just gotten data. We got data from SQL database. Maybe tomorrow we might look at getting data from Excel and doing some transformation work. Thank you so much for listening. I hope we have learned a thing or two. Any question? Sorry, no.